An article in Muscle and Fitness magazine offers ways to keep strong during stressful times. One way is to find a solid body weight program you can do at home while waiting for your favorite gym to open again. Tonight, we talk to 1999 strongest man in America and get his advice. It's good to have you here.
From Los Angeles, this is KLCS PBS. Welcome to Everybody with Angela Williamson, an innovation, arts, education, and public affairs program. Everybody with Angela Williamson is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you. And now your host, Dr. Angela Williamson.
Odd Haugen is our guest. Odd, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get started, I want to hear a little bit about you. So tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm an old guy that done a lot of sports and business activities over the years. Going all the way back to starting lifting weights when I was 10 years old. So that's, I have to say, 60 years ago. And I made my first weights out of birch wood. I grew up in Norway, and my hometown, nobody had weights, but I was intent on lifting weights, so I made my own and started when I was 10 years old and really never stopped.
Wow. Okay, you're going to go on, but you are really young in a small hometown, and how did you even find out about weights?
I think actually I was looking at the newsstand. They had like the Muscle magazine, or back then. And they were all, most of them were in English, like either from the UK or America. And I started reading those, and I said, this is for me. I had to do this. So yeah, that's how I started basically.
Wow,
but,
it's amazing. Well, and another question too I wanted to ask you is, so how does this young person or young lad from Norway get all the way over here to the US?
Well, I think because of the magazines and stuff like that, reading, I was always really wanted to go to America to train and do, because it sounded like everybody was lifting weights here. But of course, I found out the hard way that I came here, and I probably had better facilities where I left in Norway. But that was neither here nor there. I actually, first time I came to America, I was in high school. I was an exchange student in upstate New York for 1 year, and then went back, finished school in Norway, and then came back and went to college here.
And my question too, you were talking about, you came over here and you were an exchange student, you went back home, and you still wanted to come back to the United States.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to come back.
Why did you want to come back to the United States?
Well, land of opportunity, I guess. I mean, I really always wanted to be in America, I think, since I was a young kid, I guess. Yeah.
And when you decided to come back, so you came back for college, and tell me, how did you choose the university that you wanted to go to?
Very funny story.
Yes. I want to hear it.
Because in high school, I was, as an exchange student, I could, they had me do everything. I was a bodybuilder, but I tried out American football, I tried out wrestling, I did track and field, stuff like that in upstate New York. And I got these colleges start talking to me, but I was not allowed to take contact with them, and they weren't allowed to really recruit me. So I actually got like three colleges that approached me and said, we'll give you scholarship, but just come over. One was for Brown University for wrestling, for row crewing, Dartmouth for wrestling, and then the school I eventually went to was Western Maryland College, or McDaniel College in Western Maryland. And they said, no, you don't have to do anything. If you want to play sports, you can play sports, but if you want to here to study. So, okay, that sounds good. And it was co-ed. The other two were not co-ed. And I said, no, not for me. Had to be co-ed.
So you weren't coming to America?
No, to be in a boys' school. I wasn't coming here to go to boys' school. So that's basically what I was thinking.
Well, it's nice to know how you had your priorities straight at such a young age.
Yeah.
And so you come over here and you decide to study physical education. What did you study?
Yeah, I studied exercise science. I was really interested, since I started lifting weights so early. I was reading everything. I mean, I was actually learning English, reading technical magazines and about training and all that type of thing. So I was very interested in, my goal was really to get a PhD in exercise physiology. That's what was my goal was. In my undergraduate school, that's what I focused on. At the same time as I, played sport, I lettered in 3 sports and stuff like that in college as well. But then after college, when I actually got teaching assistantship at a couple of big universities to get my PhD, but I signed to play football, the NFL with the Washington Football Club, now known as the Washington Football Club, and. But I never passed physical because I had an injury from running track in college, because I ran 100 and shot put, discus. I did everything, high jumped even in high school, in college. So as big as I was, I tore my groin really bad in the last track meet I went to, and I never passed physical. So I had to go and do some part-time work in the summer, waiting to go to school, and I wasn't sure about anymore sure about going right into grad school after playing a little bit of football, and after start working a little bit, I said, no, but wait a year. So next year I went and signed with the 49ers, played a few preseason games, got injured, left, and when I got off of injured waivers, I didn't get on another team. I could have gone the next year, I guess, but I went back to grad school. But now I switched to MBA program at Berkeley.
And so that's how you get from Maryland to
California. Yeah.
And you stay here.
Yeah. I stay here. I stayed in Northern California for a good portion of my adult life till about 1990. Then I went to Hawaii for like 10 years. And then I went back to Norway for a few years, and then came here to Southern California. So actually now I've been in Southern California about as long as I was in Northern California. And in between I was in Norway and in Hawaii.
And I also read in your bio that when you were in Hawaii, you actually entered a competition. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, that's what's got me back into strongman. The strongman sport is like, it's old, but it's new, in the sense that in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, it was not something that you competed in. So there was not any availability. That's when it was probably the best age for doing it. But all that was a TV program basically, and it was it started here in Southern California actually. The World's Strongest Man, like in 1977, but it was a TV show on, I think, CBS Sports. And but somebody got hurt, and anyway, it moved to be run in Europe instead. And then they only had one token American come and compete for the next, I think, 10, 15 years, really. And it never showed didn't show on US TV till in the 90s when they started showing it on ESPN. And then the sports grew here from the grassroots, and we started competing here, and we were competing to get into World's Strongest Man. It took me till I was 51 years old before I could get into World's Strongest Man. That was my first World's Strongest Man competition. But there's a lot of competition, local and regional. And I've traveled all over the world competing in world the strongest man type competitions.
For the audience at home, explain to me and the audience about the strongman competition.
Well, for those that watched a lot of sports back in the 90s and early 2000 up till probably 2010, it was on ESPN all the time, ESPN, ESPN2, because they had reruns and everything with World's Strongest Man. So it had been on TV a lot in the last 30 years first. But ESPN initially, now I think it's on, what is it, CBS, I think. Again, back to CBS, where it originally started. But that's the only, that's one competition a year. All the other competitions are all over the place. In the US, it's now become like the powerhouse in strongman because of the competitions we are holding locally and regionally and so forth. And it consists of basically like who is the strongest, who is the most functionally strength athlete. It was a perfect sport for me that if I could have started with it when I was in my 20s, that would have been great, but it was not such a thing. Because I was leaving Norway, I was a junior Olympic weightlifting championship, I was a powerlifting champion, I was a track athlete at a very high level on shot put and discus for my age group, and I was a bodybuilding champion. So I was, all of these things, I was kind of like a jack of all trade, maybe not the master of any of them, but I was definitely a jack of all trade. And so it's a perfect sport for that, because it's like when we competed, particularly when we were competing in like Grand Prix events in Europe, we don't even know what the events are. They say, oh, you're going to do 6 events. You're going to do an overhead lift. You're going to need to lift a log or an axle or something like that. Or then you're going to load some stones. You're going to do this and that and that. And then when you get there, and you get something totally different. But in any case, it involved lifting stones, carrying stones, dragging things, pulling things, semi-trucks, airplanes, train. Involves carrying a lot of things, obviously, and the sport takes a lot of speed and a lot of strength. I mean, a lot of people now are doing CrossFit and stuff like that, and that's an offshoot, basically, on a much lighter version of it, with like where it's more of a probably more muscle conditioning or endurance rather than absolute strength. And to do CrossFit, you got to be much smaller. To do strongman, you can be any size now, because now we have weight classes in strongman as well, and strong women. I mean, strong women is a very, very growing sport. We have multiple weight classes in that as well. And for example, at the training hall, my training facility in Newbury Park last December, we had a competition with 6 events, and we had 105 athletes competing in one day over 6 events, and I think about 40% were women.
So I could compete for this strongman competition?
Yes, you could. Yes, we have it at all levels. We have another one coming up in end of November, right after Thanksgiving. That weekend of the Thanksgiving, we have one, and same as we did last year, and it will be multiple classes. We have men's novice, men's open, we have teenage and masters men, and then we have women on the same thing for women, and multiple weight classes.
We are going to take a short break and then come back, and then you're going to talk all about the training hall. You're going to show people like me how we can be the next strongest man or woman in America. And last but not least, you are going to show us that grip. Stay tuned and come right back.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest, and then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it, or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
Welcome back. Okay, Odd, tell us about this unliftable dumbbell you brought with you today.
Yeah, I thought maybe we'll start the next segment here with, I brought some a prop with me. It's not really a Hollywood prop because it actually weighs a lot of my weight. It's 172 pounds. It's a replica of the Thomas Ince unliftable dumbbell. The handle is as thick as a Coke can, and 99.9% of all strong people cannot lift it, even off the ground. So it's very difficult. But if you're strong, big and strong, you may be able to lift it. I set the world record on my 65th birthday.
Thomas Ince dumbbell, 172 pounds. The handle is the size of a Coke can. And that's all it is. Easy to pick up, right?
My name is Odd Haugen. I'm originally from Norway and I live in California. 66 years old now, and have been lifting weights or doing strength sports since I was 10 years old. This year I'm going to attempt to lift the inch dumbbell 66 times. I have a 10-minute time limit. I hope I'll do it around 6 minutes because I'll be barely standing if I'm going to be taking 10 minutes on it.
If anybody out there has even tried to pick up the inch dumbbell, I think you'll understand how difficult this event is. This is going to take a couple minutes, so everybody let's cheer him on while he's going.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to go. Let's hear it for 66 years old, Odd Haugen.
This is unbelievable. It's not certain that any man of any age could do 50 or 60 of these. They're going to confer now.
22, John?
To see exactly how many counts.
Number 35 ticked off. We're over halfway. We have just 3 minutes and 45 seconds left, Odd. Time is ticking, I'm afraid. We're on 44. Over 50 reps with the unliftable dumbbell. 2 minutes and 6 seconds. He's on 52. You gotta dig in here, brother, come on. 54, the hand's starting to open up. That grip is getting fatigued. This is not easy now. 56. 10 more. We have a less than 90 seconds. Odd, come on. You're running out of time. You gotta go for it. 60 seconds, come on. There's one, number 60. Come on, Odd. Come on, man. No matter what, make it happen. 30 seconds to go. Number 62. 4 more. 4 more. Come on. 3 to go. 12 seconds. Come on. Odd Haugen took up the 10-minute challenge and did 63 repetitions. Let's give him an unbelievable round of applause. Come on. Odd Haugen, utmost respect from 10,000 people. I know I shouldn't say, but someone get him a beer. That man deserves it.
I'm not planning to do that today, but maybe I can lift it once, if I'm lucky, because it is so tough. So I'm going to go and just show you what it is. This is obviously not something for most people to do, but if you want to come and try it out at the training hall, we have 2 of them at the training hall, and you can lift 1 or 2. I sometimes lift 2 at a time. And it's always available for anybody to, when they come in and think you're strong, you got to try it at least. And most people can't do it. So it's just a matter of grabbing it. There's no real trick to it. It's just like grabbing it, holding on hard, and lifting it up.
Oh, wow.
Don't want to drop it.
Yes, definitely you don't want to drop that on your toes.
Or on the floor.
Yes, yes.
So anyway, that's all there is to it. But anyway, this is over 100 years old, and for the longest time nobody lifted it. You know, the guy that had it, Thomas Inch, he lifted it in shows, and some of them say he faked it sometimes because he had lighter ones that looked the same. But basically, he was very strong because he did it all the time. I'm sure he was doing it like on the going to having shows every few days or every week or something like that. So anyway, for probably another 50 years or 60 years before people started trying it again. I first saw it probably in the late 1990s, I think, and tried it, and I could lift it right away. Most people can't, but I was able to lift it right away, and some of the other strong men can do that too.
And how do you prepare to lift that? I mean, you said you were able to lift it right away.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. First time I lifted, I just lifted it up a little because that's what the challenge was, just to lift it a little bit. So we just changed the challenge because they're so easy. So we lifted it changed it to lifting it, deadlifting it all the way up. But it's basically just all about grip strength. But because it's 172 pounds and you have to lift it with one hand, you still have to be, your body got to be strong too. Because a very strong grip may not be able to lift it because they can't lift 172 pounds. But anyway, it's a fun gadget in a sense because it's very difficult.
I love how you say it's just a gadget. Yes. But, I have another question for you too. As people age, sometimes it's hard to grip things. So what can we do to actually work on our grip?
Well, there's a lot of things you can do for it, and it's good you brought that up because I think that's a very important point. It is very important as you get older to, your whole body being stronger because of bone density and so forth like that. And grip strength, I think, is particularly important. But you can use grippers, for example, like those grippers you do like this. Those would help do the grip. But challenge your grip if you're lifting weights or doing training with barbells or stuff like that. Challenge your grip. Don't use straps and so forth to make it easier to lift, because the grip is really important. It's probably the most core to your strength. Because somebody that's innately strong is usually that are strong naturally without even training. I usually have a strong grip as well. So it's a very, very important part of it. And I think if you've been sick and coming out of some illness and the doctor check if you're getting better, they usually have you squeeze the finger to see if you're actually getting better, because the grip strength is very core to your overall health.
And do you find that people have problems with their grip, not just with aging, but some of the jobs that they do as well?
Yeah, I mean, most of us are working in such a way that we don't use our hands very much. We're on the computer, me included. All my life I've been an executive and basically been working on computers and stuff like that. So I don't use my grip in my daily life in that sense. But I always been lifting weights and always been training. So I outdid that part. But when people come in and train, for example, in the training hall, we do incorporate a lot of grip training because it's a very important part. And we have a ton of different handles and grip handles and apparatuses that you can use to do it, to make it fun. We actually have like a little challenge every Sunday where we have 2 or 3 different events that we do. Everybody can come and just join and just try out these different things and see how high they can do it.
The one thing that I love about the training hall is that you do have a lot of people that are part of this training hall because they do competitions like yourself.
Right.
But like regular people like me can also be part of the training hall as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. We have a lot of people from all walks of life and all levels of competition. We have a lot of people that want to be strong men, strong women, and we have people that just want to come in and get stronger. And we also have some power lifters as well as people that do Moss wrestling, which is another strength sport we do. Moss means stick in Yakutian language. It's an old ancient sport that's now become a modern sport. Eskimo calls it Eskimo wrestling, actually. The Eskimos used it. This is from the modern version of it that we compete in are from Yakutia in northeastern Siberia, Russia. And it's their national sport, so they brought it back, and they brought it back with the English name. Moss is actually, in their language, stick, not in Russian, but in the Yakutian language, stick, and wrestling, of course, is wrestling in English. So even in Russia, they call it Moss wrestling. They don't call it Moss, whatever wrestling would be in the Russian language. They use the English word.
Okay, so then you're pulling. You can be a real big jerk and lay on your side.
We're pretty evenly matched, and on any given day, either one of us will win. And this has led to some serious epic battles. You see, in Moss, your average bout is 5 to 15 seconds. For it to hit 20 seconds, that's a marathon. 30 seconds, and that's an eternity. When a bout starts approaching a minute, you're seeing gods you don't even pray to. Romark and I often have some of the longest matches in the tournament. Like this.
All right, they're pulling now, the whole body.
So this is the modern version, but my ancestors, the Vikings, used to do it, and it was a common physical education activity or physical activity or game up through the early 19th century. I was born in 1950. In my hometown, they never did it, so I never had heard of it till I came here. But in some cultures, like in the islands out of Scotland, which has a lot of Viking leftovers, and they have a sport. They do that activity, and some of the Scottish Highland Games had it in their games up through. But things change, so people lose and things come back and stuff like that. And now it's back. It's a big international sport. We have over 55 countries that are members of the International Mass Federation, and we have really formal sport that we hope to make into the Olympics someday. Maybe in LA. No, that would be great.
Like, we don't have enough stuff going on in LA, but we can always use more, especially when it has to do with health and fitness.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming on and just bringing it down to the level of us regular folk out here so we can be our own strong people as well. And the training hall is, tell us again, Newbury?
Newbury Park. And it's, obviously we are at this point where we have an outside area so we can train under the new COVID-19 regulations, but we have an outdoor area and we can bring the equipment outside. We have equipment outside. So it's open from that standpoint. We really don't have any, you had to contact us to sign up. But other than that, we don't. You don't have classes. It's basically all you work out on the individual basis.
Thank you so much. And you heard that, everyone. They are open right now. So definitely you want to follow up and look for the training hall in Newbury Park. And thank you so much for being part of our show today. It's been a very interesting show, and it's because of viewers like you. It's the reason that we have this show. Follow us on social media. Good night and stay well.